Hey guys, FZ1 video tutorials number 5, changing tires on a street bike. Now for the last couple years, I've been buying my tires online, taking the wheels off my bike, taking everything up to a local cycle gear, paying them 50 or 60 bucks a pop each time for mixed results. And I just got to the point where I decided, I think I want to try to change my tires myself. Now, I started out by finding articles on changing the tires yourself. I read what other people had done. I watched videos. I saw how they did it, what tools they used, what methods, what the results were. Now, obviously, there's several ways you can go. You can buy a tire changer. You can spend a few $100s to well over $1,000 or more to get a nice one. These do a great job. They make it really, really simple. You might even make some money on the side with a tire changer. I didn't go this route because I didn't have room in my garage to put one, and I wanted to show that with simple hand tools and a few specific hand tools, you could change your tires simply and easily every time. What I also found was that the procedure that you must use is very specific, where you put the tire irons and when you flip them over and all this stuff. This is what I want to show. It isn't hard. I did it by myself, actually filmed it and did it by myself. If you can find some help, another friend with a couple hands, it's going to go really simple. My elapsed time on this tire change was around 2 hours, and this included me moving the camera, setting it up, and doing all sorts of stuff. So I want to show you how I changed my tires. Check this out. Okay, real quick, here's a rundown of the tools I am using to change my tires. An air compressor. You're going to need a way to inflate your tires after mounting them. A bead breaker. I'm going to use an 8-inch drill press with a few different lengths of smooth head studs to get this job done. More on this later in the video. Also, very important, especially if you don't have any help, is a way to compress and manipulate the tires while removing and installing them. For this, I use a couple of C-clamps and a few vise-like clamps as extra hands to hold things. Tire irons, rim protectors, and a valve stem extractor tool. These are mandatory. I got 4 rim protectors, 4 11-inch tire irons, and the valve stem tool that you see here, all for about 45 bucks online. Next, I picked up a 2x4 and some hardware from Home Depot to allow me to secure the wheels to a table for mounting the tires. The hardware is a single 1/2 by 13 threaded rod with 2 hex nuts, 2 standard flat washers, 2 fender washers, and a single wing nut. Total cost here was about $13. Now, you're going to need a few basic tools to get the wheels off the bike, most of which can be found in your bike's toolkit, but you will need a large hex drive to remove the front axle. I'm using a spark plug socket and a wrench for this. And finally, to make the tire surface slick enough to slide over the rim, I'm going to use Pledge Furniture Polish with lemon. This is going to be a long video, so we are just going to cover the basics of wheel removal and installations. You will need to remove the front fender and brake calipers from both sides. Carefully hang the calipers out of the way as shown. Next, you will need to support the front tire off the ground. Loosen the axle pinch bolt and remove the front axle. I am using the 2x4 block and the base of the drill press to support the rim and keep the disc brake hubs from touching the table. Step 1 is to remove the valve stem to release all the air from the tire. The head of the bolt is positioned right over the ridge of the sidewall of the tire, and by rotating the drill press handle slowly, the bead is pushed off the rim into the deeper part of the wheel. This is repeated several times around the wheel to ensure the bead is completely released. Now, if you don't have a drill press handy, there are a lot of videos online where guys have made their own bead breakers from 2x4s and other items that can be made very inexpensively. In fact, if I didn't have the drill press, I probably would just use the C-clamps that I'm using in this video. Once complete, I remove the press and replace with a second 2x4 and secure the wheel and tire to the table. Here's where the pledge comes in. Spray it onto the tire's bead and the area of the exposed rim, making sure to get a good coverage all the way around. Next, I am using a 4-inch C-clamp to fully compress both sides of the tire by placing it directly on the sidewall ridge. It needs to be compressed enough to keep the tire bead below the step in the rim. 4 rim protectors are placed adjacent to the C-clamp and tied back to the wheel in a manner that has the effect of compressing this group of protectors together. Alright, begin by using one tire iron on the number 3 rim protector, pulling the bead over the edge, and watch what happens. Right there, did you see that? Let's stop the tape here and back it up and watch it one more time. Right there, see that? The tire is being pressed deeper into the wheel, and this is exactly what we want to see. Using a second tire iron on the number 4 protector continues to press the bead into the wheel. Now let me stop it one more time. With the first 2 irons about 7 inches apart, the bead is now lifted cleanly over the rim, and it will stay there. Now just work around a few more times and the tire will slide right off. Remove the C-clamp and rim protectors and turn the wheel and tire over so you can pledge the other side of the tire. Put the tire back into the mount, tightening it down, and this time we are going to install only 3 of the rim protectors, again tying them in so that they are grouped together. Now this part is really self-explanatory. I just start on one side and progress across. When I pulled the number 3 position, the first one popped loose, but going back a second time at that first position was all it took. Once you confirm that the rotation of the tire and the wheel is correct, turn the tire over and pledge it. Return the tire to the correct orientation and just press it home. As before, pledge this side of the tire, tighten the wheel down and install the C-clamp adjacent to 4 rim protectors. Here is where it would help to have an extra set of hands, so let me just stop it right here for just a second and point out a few critical details. Where the knee and hand are positioned is important. I am holding the bead as far down as possible and keeping the bead from slipping around the edges as I work the tire irons. I place an iron onto the numbers 1 and 4 protectors using the knee and forearm to hold the bead lip down and begin to roll the tire on. Now in this segment, I am just carefully progressing the irons towards the center a little at a time, making sure to keep the bead from running out the other side. Once you progress enough, the tire will stay down and you can see how far the tire has to roll under to fit the rim. See how it's distorted? This is what you're looking for. One last flip from the number 3 position and it's done. Reinstall the valve stem and begin to air up the tire until you hear 2 pops. Continue to fill the air until you are at the correct tire pressure, then install the cap and remove the old tire waves. At the time of shooting, I didn't have my tire balancer, so it's not something I can show you, but obviously you need to balance your tires, and we'll cover this in a future video. Remount the wheel onto the bike, tighten the axle and pinch nut, reinstall both brake calipers and the fender. Also, be sure to reprime your brake lines by pumping them a few times before riding off. As with the front tire, the bead is broken free in the same manner. Before flipping the tire, I removed the sprocket and its rubber dry pieces as well as the aluminum spacer sleeve, then proceeded to break the bead on the second side of the wheel. Secure the tire into position and apply pledge to the entire circumference of the tire and rim. Also, just like before, I'm using a 4-inch C-clamp to compress the tire at the back. Now for the rear tire, I am using all 4 rim protectors, but I found I could get away without securing them as I had done on the front tire. Notice as I pulled the first iron over the number 2 protector that the tire is already beginning to roll under at the side. Again, this is what we are looking for and is an indication that we can proceed. A second iron on the number 3 protector pulls the bead over further, and then I just keep working it around and the 190/55 pops off as easy as that. Flip the wheel, apply the pledge, put it back on the blocks and tighten it down. To get the tire off, I am using 3 rim protectors, but I am now using a 5-inch block at the rear to position the tire bead into the center of the wheel. This is another one of those steps that it would really be nice to have an extra set of hands around. but I'm going to use a soft clamp to hold the first tire iron in position. The clamp is now used to hold the first 2 irons while I work 2 irons on the first protector, the one nearest the others first, followed by the last to keep the progression of the bead going. Now you can just pull it off. Orient the wheel, sprocket side up, and secure it down to the blocks. Make sure of your tire's orientation and rotation, use the pledge, and press the tire onto the rim. The remaining process is the same as with the front. Pledge, locate valve stem position, orient the tire, clamp it at the back, 4 rim protectors tied into a group at the top, knee and right hand at the 8 and 4 o'clock positions. Alright, working from the right side, I am moving the irons just an inch or so each time as I progress counterclockwise, and each time using my right hand to secure that progress. As I get to the second rim protector, you will see the sidewall of the tire begin that familiar tug into the rim center. Here it comes, and right there it is. Now at this point, you just keep on working the tire irons around the edge until you only have about 12 inches of the tire bead left over the top of the rim. You will notice here that the tire is rolling into the center of the wheel, and one more flip will finish the job. Remove the C-clamp and rim protectors from the wheel. Install the valve stem and air up the tire until you seat both beads. Make sure you have the right tire pressure. Reinstall the rear tire, axle, brake caliper. Check chain tension and align both sides. And finally, make sure to pump the rear brake before riding. Well, that's how I change my tires. Hope you like it, and as always, thank you for the comments and suggestions. Now, if you have a second gen FZ1, check out copperdog.com. There are some great new items coming out very soon you may want to put on your bike. See you next time.